TBTL.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Hey Dummies. My name is Andrew, and I will once again be your dummy today, here to answer your questions. Any questions you got for me and or Luke, email me, Andrew at tbtl.net, and put Hey Dummies in the subject line. Today's question comes from Jake in Chicago. He's been sending in a lot of questions lately, which we really appreciate, but help ease Jake's load a little bit because right now we're operating on, I think, 75% Jake energy, which is great. But Jake's question, and I love this one, is what do you consider your sliding doors moment? Of course, sliding doors moment refers to a moment in time where your life could take one path or another based on a relatively small thing happening to you. It's based on the movie, what was it, late 90s, I think it came out, Sliding Doors with Gwyneth Paltrow, and I think Gwyneth Paltrow's character is rushing for a train, and she, in one scenario, just misses the train as the doors slide close, and another one, she just makes the train, and then the movie explores what her life would be like if either of those scenarios happened, and how one small thing can lead to a chain of events that could change your life forever. And so when you talk about sliding door moments in your own life, I was pondering this, not in any way that would, um, infringe on the copyright of Questions to Ponder, the regular staple of Breakfast with Bob on Wisconsin 106. I was pondering this, but I was not infringing on the copyright at all. And I think my life does have a sliding doors moment. In fact, the only problem with it is it's kind of a long story, and I think it's one most of you have heard before, but I'll try to make it quick. When I was graduating from college, I was employed by the public radio station that had employed me during my college career, but I had to sort of leave the nest. And so I was just applying for jobs all over the place, like literally from Alaska to New Hampshire. I'm sure I was applying for some in the South as well. And I was applying for all kinds of jobs as engineer assistant, because I had a little bit of experience doing some kind of radio engineering stuff. I was applying for jobs as producer, as host, probably in some cases, news reporter. I was any job in public radio that they would give me. I had a little bit of experience here and there, so I was hoping that I could get my foot in the door somewhere. And I think the first folks to offer me a job was this radio station up in Interlochen, Michigan, which is a very, very small community up there, and it was very remote. And I remember liking the job. I think it was the engineer assistant job, but also it was such a small little station. I was excited because I could have an impact on the station. The job was weird. It was like half engineer's assistant and half, I think, producing and maybe even hosting a little bit, if I have that right. And they actually offered me that job, and I was like, oh, wow, I mean, I need a job, but I really was hoping to live in a place that was a little bit more urban, and not quite as remote as this tiny community. But I did end up accepting the job, because I needed to get my foot in the door somewhere, right? But then after I'd accepted the job, I got a call from New Hampshire Public Radio, where I'd also applied for a producer role. And New Hampshire seemed more appealing to me. Again, not a thriving metropolis, Concord, New Hampshire, thriving in its own way, but another small town, but not as remote as Interlochen. And also there was a proximity there to Boston, where Genevieve lived. And now I had just met Genevieve about I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 months earlier, maybe even less than that. But we had really hit it off, and we were still communicating, emailing each other daily. And this was when I had to go to my little studio apartment, type a long email to her, save it on a floppy disk, take it into work, and then email it to her at the old radio station in Kent. And so anyway, I was very excited about the idea of possibly getting a job in New Hampshire, which would be closer to Boston, closer to Genevieve. Maybe we could actually establish some sort of a relationship. And I just liked the job better. But the problem was I'd already accepted the Michigan job. So when New Hampshire Public Radio called me, they said, hey, would you be interested in a phone interview? You're one of our finalists. And then if the phone interview goes well, maybe we could bring you out here for an in-person interview. And I said, well, that sounds like a lengthy process. And the problem is I already just accepted a job but I want your job more. Is there any chance we could just sort of speed up this process a little bit more quickly? And they said, yeah, let's do it. Let's have a phone interview like tomorrow or something like that. And then if it goes well, we'll fly out here right away. So I started pursuing this New Hampshire public radio job. It was going well. The guy in Interlochen, Michigan, who had hired me, starts saying, hey, have you found a place to live out here yet? What are your plans? What's your timeline? And I started to feel bad about it because I was very much slow walking that, hoping I could end up getting this New Hampshire public radio job. And unfortunately, and maybe not quite ethically or morally, have to tell the guy in Michigan that I found a better job, which would leave him kind of high and dry. And I didn't feel great about it, but I also didn't feel great about living out there. No offense. It just wasn't what I was looking for at the time. So anyway, so I do end up getting the New Hampshire public radio job. And I do end up telling the guy in Michigan, listen, I got a different job. I'm going to a different state. I'm taking that job. I'm really, really sorry about this. I apologize profusely. I remember he didn't take it well. Like, he wasn't angry at me, or at least he didn't lash out at me or say anything angry. In fact, it was really sad. He actually said, you were the only person we wanted for this job, which was incredibly flattering. But it also, like, he didn't say it like a compliment. He said it like, you're really screwing us over here. And I feel bad about that. I still feel bad about that. But that was a moment where my life would be so much different if I ended up in Interlochen, Michigan. I wouldn't have had a relationship with Genevieve. Who knows where my life would have taken me. But I really don't think that I would be in Seattle, Washington with Genevieve and Professor Bananas and Bingo the cat right now. So that would be my sliding doors moment, I think. I'm sorry that it went on for quite some time. It was both one of those stories that was told in way too lengthy a manner and also way too fast of a manner at the same time, something that I'm really, really known for. But I really do like that question. And also, it's a good question for everybody to think about. What are your sliding door moments? What was your sliding door moment, Jake in Chicago? If you guys have any more questions for us, email me, andrew@tbtl.net, and put Hey Dummies in the subject line, and we'll answer just about almost anything. Hope you all have a great weekend. We'll be back to regular programming on Monday. Luke and I will talk to you then. Bye.